Welcome to part 9 of our D2L video series. In this video, we're going to talk about using the D2L discussions tool. The discussions tool can be found on your course navbar. And this tool is basically broken down into two items. You have a forum and a topic. The forum basically works like a content module when you're using the content tool. You will build forums for different weeks in your class, or maybe different subjects, or even different chapters, whatever way you feel like it is appropriate to break these discussions up. And then you'll build discussion topics that the students will actually post to. So one example of a way to set this up would be to have a week 1 discussion forum that you could then build one or multiple discussion topics in for the week. I could then have a week 2 discussion forum, week 3 discussion forum, and so on. In each one of those weeks, I could build one or more discussion topics to cover all of the different discussions that I need to have in the class. Let's first talk about building the discussion forum. You will be required to have a discussion forum in order to build a topic. You can't build topics without having a forum to put them in. So we'll find the new forum button up at the top. When I select that, it's going to load the new forum creation page. Just like other tools in D2L, anywhere I see the red asterisk, I do have to put something in this field. It's required. Everything else is going to be optional. So here I can type in a title. I have a checkbox here that would allow me to create a new topic. It would basically create a topic using the same title that I have for the forum and build it for me. I'm not going to do that because I want to go ahead and show you how to manually build the topic and associate it with this forum. We can type in a description for the forum, but we can put all of these same options on the topic. So some of them I choose to put on the topic instead of putting them on the discussion forum. So for now I'm going to leave the description blank. I can also select to allow anonymous messages. Now if I check this box, what it's going to do is allow students to post anonymously. Now because you can't post to a discussion forum, you can only post to a discussion topic. This setting would carry down to any topics that you associate with this forum. So since this is my week 2 discussion forum, and let's say I have 1 or 2 topics inside of it, if I check this box on the forum, the discussion topics that are in it would be held to that setting. I can also choose to set this setting on the discussion topic as well. For now, I'm just going to go ahead and leave it unchecked. The second checkbox here basically sets it to where I would have to approve messages before they're displayed to the students. So a student would post a message, but it's not going to show up for other students in the class until I come and approve the message. The next 2 settings look kind of similar. You basically have 2 different date ranges. These settings control 2 different things. The first setting, under availability, controls the visibility of the forum. So if the forum is always visible, students will be able to read anything that's been posted here. So when I associate a topic with this discussion forum, it's going to be held to these same settings. So if I have a forum is visible and I have 2 or 3 discussion topics inside of it, they will also be visible unless I've set a separate setting on the topic. The other option is for locking options. This basically controls when the students can post to the topics that are in this forum. So if it's unlocked, which is the default setting, and it's visible, they would be able to post to it and view the posts that have been written there. A good example of this in practice is, because this is my week 2 discussion forum, and let's say that it's now week 3 in the class, so I no longer want students posting to this discussion forum or the topics that are inside of it. So what I may choose to do is lock the forum so they can't post anymore, but because the forum is still visible, they'll still be able to go in and view the posts that are there. So that's why we have the 2 different date ranges. I typically will leave my forum as visible, and I use the locking options to control when students are able to post to the topics that are going to be inside of this forum. So again, just like other places in D2L, I have the ability to check the display and calendar box, which is going to go ahead and build that calendar entry for me and put it on all of my students' calendars. This is going to show them the start date for when the calendar opens and the end date for when it closes, which is a great feature. I'm going to go down to the bottom and click the Save button, which is going to save this discussion forum. Now if I return back to my forums and topics list, I can click here on the discussion list here, or on the discussions button on the nav bar. All three of those go to the same place. I'm now going to be able to see my week 2 discussion forum that I just built. I can see the date range for when it's unlocked for students to post. But because this is a discussion forum, I can't post anything on this, and neither could students. It's simply a container. It's a place for you to build discussion topics. So now that I have a forum, I can scroll back to the top and click the New Topic button to build my discussion topic. The discussion topic looks identical to the settings that you had for the forum. That's because you can set these settings on either the forum or you can set them on the topic, either place. I typically will set my restrictions for visibility and locking on the forum, and that way any of the topics that I build in the forum will have those same settings and will open on that same schedule. But you may have a reason for setting it individually on the topic, and that's fine. So when I'm setting this up, I'm going to come down to the drop box here and select the forum that this topic is going to be inside of. So I'm going to choose my week 2 discussion forum. If you forgot to create a forum, you can click the new forum button here to jump back over to that screen. I'm going to type in a title that the students would see when they're viewing the discussion board, and then also a description. Now the description here is where I actually like to type in the questions or what the students are supposed to talk about on this discussion topic. So when I click into here, I do have the full WYSIWYG editor that we've seen in the content tool previously. What this will allow me to do is insert images, quick links. I can link out to web pages and have them read an article and then come back to the discussion board and post about it. You could have them watch a video and then post about it. So there's a lot of things you can do using the WYSIWYG editor. I'm just going to go ahead and type in some text. Now when I scroll down, you'll see I have all the same options that I had on the forum previously for anonymous messages, approving messages to be displayed, and also the visibility and the locking options. Because I set them on the forum, I'm going to go ahead and leave these as the default settings, and I don't need to worry about them. When the forum opens, so will this topic. So if I come to the bottom and click Save, it's going to build this topic. Now you notice I have a couple of tabs at the top. The Restrictions tab is used if I need to associate this topic with a group in my class. If I have groups built, I can come down to the bottom here and say I want to restrict this discussion topic to an individual group. I could then click the Add Groups button to associate it with one group. Now only the members in that D2L group can see this discussion topic and post to it. I can make multiple topics and associate them with my groups so that each group has a board that they can talk amongst their group members. The Assessment tab is used if I want to associate a grade item with this discussion topic. So if I want to make this a graded discussion topic, I can create grade items in my grade book, and then if I have one created, I can associate it with my grade book, or I can click the new grade item to build one on the fly. I'm going to go ahead and do that now so I can show you what it looks like. So when I click this item, I can assign it a point value and a weight. And all of these items here will be discussed in a later video when we talk in more depth about the grades tool. So don't worry just yet about knowing how to use the grades tool. It will be covered in a later video. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and build this grade item. And you can see that this discussion topic is now associated with a grade item called Discussion Week 2. I can put a score out of what I'm going to grade the students. So I'll say I'll grade them out of 100 points. And now I'm going to save this so that I can show you how the grading will work. You'll notice when I saved that I gained a new button right here called Assess Topic. This is the button that I would click to actually grade the students on this discussion topic. Okay, so let's return back to the forums and topics list. We can now see the forum and topic that we've built. So if I enter into the discussion topic, I can show you how to actually post to the discussion board. So on the left side, we're going to see the discussions list. This is basically all the different forums and discussions in the course, and I can click this to jump between them very quickly. In this frame, I'm going to see all of the posts, including mine and students, and I can scroll down through that, and when I select one, it's actually going to display the message in this bottom frame. To post a new message, I would click the Compose button, and it's going to open a window where I can type in a subject and a message. Now, as the instructor, I have the ability to pin a message. If I check this box, my message is going to be pinned to the top of the discussion board, and when students post, theirs will always follow behind mine. My message will always stay at the top of the board. If I don't check this box, my message is going to be down in among the other students depending on when it's posted. One neat option is the ability to subscribe to this thread. So if I check this box, it's going to notify me when there are updates to my thread. So if someone replies to my message, I'm going to be notified of that, and I can return back into D2L and look at that. You can also attach files on the discussion board, and this is a great way for students to be able to post files and talk about group work or papers that they're working on and get some peer feedback. So I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and click the Post button, and my message has now been posted to the discussion board. You'll notice the star is lit up beside my post. That basically means I'm following this message. I've subscribed to it because I checked that box. I could also click it again to unsubscribe. If I click on my message, you'll see that it appears down in the bottom, and I could click the reply button to post a reply. This is what students would do if they wanted to reply to mine, or they would compose their own message. You can search within the discussion board, and this is going to search within all the text of the student's posts. Now I'm going to go into another discussion board that has more posts in it so you can see what it looks like when there's a lot more discussions in it. Okay, so now I'm in a discussion board that has a lot more posts. You can see here who the post was authored by, and as I scroll down, you're going to be able to see other people who have posted on the board, and when it's indented like this, there's a reply. So someone posted here and then it had a reply from each one of these people, and so it's indented so that you can see the conversation. If I click on the message at the top, it's going to post it down here on the bottom, where I could come and read the message and then reply to it. You can also click to assess the message if you want to grade the student, and you can also delete posts if they're inappropriate. Now, one neat feature of the discussion board is that as the instructor, you have the ability to use the Mark All Read button. What this is going to do is if you have a lot of posts in the course that have been made over the weekend and you've looked through them quickly and you want to just mark them as read, you can click this button and all the messages in the board are going to be marked as read. Students would have to click through each one of the posts in order to mark them as read, but as the instructor, you have this ability. Another thing that I'd like to show you is that there are some other views for how you view the discussion board. This is the default view. When you log in, if you don't change anything, this is how it's going to appear to you. If you click on the settings button, you can actually change some of these options. One of the ways that I like to set mine up is to turn off the discussion topics list, turn off the preview pane, and set the message list style to reading style instead of grid style, and then come down and click Save. What this is going to do is make the board viewable like this, where I'm going to see a post and then I can see the reply as an indentation. So I like this view a little bit better because it lets me quickly scroll through the messages and read them and get the idea, and then I can also click the reply button here if I need to reply to someone's post. And also the assess button here, I need to assess a student's post and grade it. So it's really just personal preference. You can mess around with the settings here and see if there's a view that you like better. But the default view works really well. See just an overhead view of your course. I'm going to go ahead and return back to my other course so that we can talk about a few more settings. Okay, so I'm back in my course now that we were working earlier. And a few other things that I want to show you is that, one, you have the ability to look at a lot of statistics for what the students are doing in the discussion boards. So on the left side, there's an option called Statistics, and if I select that, it's going to first break it down by users. You can see the Users tab here. So I'm going to see the 2 students that I have in my class. I can see how many posts they've authored and how many they've read. I can also come over and click the Forums and Topics tab, and it's going to break it down that way, and then I can see how many messages have been written on those particular forms and topics. So this gives you a nice overhead view of seeing what your students are doing in the class. When I'm on the Users tab, I can also click on an individual student to open up a window with a further breakdown of how that student's done in the class. So I can see each individual topic and how many messages they've authored and read for each one of those topics. Now the last thing that I want to show you on the discussion tool is your subscriptions. Now a little earlier I showed you where you could check the box when you post something to subscribe to updates to your feed. Now if you're on the discussions list, you'll notice that each one of these discussion topics has a star beside it. I could click one of these to actually subscribe to the topic itself, and it's going to give me a message here asking how frequently I want to be notified. I can actually get a summary at the end of the day that tells me all the activity for the entire day, or you can get instant notification where it will notify you immediately when someone posts. I can click subscribe, and I'm now subscribed to this topic. So instead of having to log in and check, it will just notify me immediately if someone posts something. Now in order to manage your subscriptions, you do have a subscriptions option over here on the left side, and if I go there, I can see all of the things that I've subscribed to. This is my message that I posted earlier where I subscribed to updates to it, and then here is the topic, the actual discussion topic that I've subscribed to. If I want to unsubscribe from one of these, I can simply click the unsubscribe button. The discussions tool is great for allowing you to create that interactive discussion that you have in an on-ground course. You can create discussion topics that can keep the students engaged and allows them to be interactive in the course with each other. So it gives it a little more of a personal touch than some of the other tools that you have in an online course. So I really encourage you to use the discussion tool. It's really great. The students enjoy it, and it's a great way to get participation in your class. In our next video, we're going to talk about the D2L assessments tool. Thanks for watching.